We learned what happened to the village and to Kuzahamon's father, as there was a large crystal sitting just out of the ground, starting to crack, with Nicole trying to help comfort his girlfriend after she'd heard the full story of what happened, and Kulamon was also trying to help while Sistermon Noir was angry about hearing how it went down. The crystal cracked deeper before a part of it snapped off and continued breaking slowly, letting out a light that began glowing brighter and brighter until Aldemon was unleashed from the now broken sea and called out that now they are finally free. They were able to fulfill their mission and destroy the place. Dino Tigermon called out that they wouldn't let that happen, with Nicole igniting the blaze and glowing along with Kulamon, just as he did whenever he'd become Holy Draudamon, with a seriously deadly look in his eye. Though Aldemon simply laughed, not taking notice of that, and spoke, saying, "You couldn't stop me the last time. How are you going to—" They were stopped mid-sentence and looked down, seeing Nicole now in the form of Holy Draudamon with his blade impaling Aldemon through the chest stomach due to the 3 blades each piercing a different spot, before speaking to the fire Digimon. "Because I'm not one for tolerating evil such as yours," Nicole spoke bluntly, surprising everyone as Aldemon coughed up blood, and our Digidestin then pulled the sword from their torso. Before the Digimon in red armor could even attempt to speak, Holy Draudamon swung their blade in a single blow, slashed off their head, causing them to break down into data bit and be absorbed by the Holy Digimon in front of them, leaving behind 2 spirits, both the human and beast spirit of flame, with Kulamon covering his eyes so he didn't see all that, and everyone else looking shocked. Holy Draudamon placed the spirits into storage on the multi-tool, then flew slowly over to Kuzahamon, impaling the ground with his sword, and his face going from dead to worse, asking his girlfriend if she was all. The tone of voice had done a complete 180, with him showing more concern for Kuzahamon than the fact that he just decapitated someone. Kuzahamon was confused by how he could so easily turn from dangerous to gentle, but said that she was alright. Perhaps now that Aldemon was gone, her father could rest peacefully, and told him that they didn't have time to hurt any of them thanks to his quick act, which Dino Tigermon also nodded in response to that. Returning to his human form, he'd asked Dino Tigermon if he knew of what town it was that started the whole thing, though they weren't sure exactly, as all they knew was that it was a border town, like theirs, that was attacked, and that was really about it. He'd said that he wished he knew more, but sadly that was it, since he didn't leave the town when everyone else was evacuated. Nicole nodded, asking if Dino Tigermon would come with them since Aldemon was no longer around to be dealt with, and the Digimon stopped to consider that for a moment, questioning what they had planned. Kulomon was the one who spoke up, saying that they were going to save the digital world together by stopping the bad old fighting going on. This did make the tiger-like Digimon laugh as he nodded, liking that idea. Our lead Digidestined said that they'd give them some time with Kuzahamon to say their goodbyes before they got on their way, and decided to see if there might be anything useful around, along with Kulamon, who was curious about what they were up to, as he'd gone into one of the abandoned buildings and started looking around at what all was inside to see if there was anything of use to them. The little Kulamon didn't like this at first and asked about that place being someone's home, though Nicole told them not anymore. It was abandoned, and so anything inside was safe to take, though he would leave everything that they couldn't use, going through the cupboard and seeing them empty, figuring Dino Tigermon probably picked these buildings clean of food over the years. He did find money laying around and some other valuable stuff, though he only took the money and medical items, seeing that the medical stuff for Digimon didn't expire. Nicole told Kulamon that they would only take the money and medical items unless something super important was found, and his partner nodded, liking that compromise, as they'd help to look around. The two continued for a while as Sistermon Noir joined them in searching because she'd gotten bored standing around. The 3 entered into what appeared like a school building and walked around checking for anything useful, and Kulamon was the one to point out the trophy case where the Digimentals of purity and sincerity were sitting inside. Nicole said that for sure they'd need that, but Kulamon pointed out that it was locked and asked how they were going to get them, though Nicole says that it wouldn't be a problem saying you just have to take out your trusty lockpick, with Sister Mon Noir pulling out one of her guns and shooting the lock, breaking it, and removing the shackle, which was the only thing left of it, as Nicole then says, "And you're in." They open the case and take the Digimentals, placing them into storage on the multi-tool, with Kulamon finding the explanation interesting, and they left the rest of the stuff where it was, continuing to check the other room of the school to see if there was anything of use there. Sadly, the Digimentals were really all there was. Still, they'd managed to get supplies from the nurse's office at least, and headed back towards Kuzahamon and Dino Tigermon, seeing that it was starting to get dark.